Good morning, Affordaplane builders. This is Terry Adair, Houston, Texas, and I have been silent for a while. We have been awaiting parts for the motor, which was our stator. And here recently we did receive an order right there from Matt, or I guess Marcia, his secretary, from Recreational Power Engineering. And we did get back a new stator. We have an old stator that he shipped back with us, and I've got it right here, so I'm going to bring it over here. Now, Matt did check everything out. He checked the old stator, and again, also the coil and electronics, and he sent me this new one here, and it was quite expensive, but everything here works. This one here, you can see, I guess from Matt said it looked like it had gotten very hot, and I believe because of this bubbling we see right here on the edges. Let me get my hand out of the way, but right along these edges here there's some bubbling taking place, and he says that thing must have gotten real hot. But anyway, this did not test properly. It did not work. It was getting zero juice off of it. So he replaced it with this one here, and I was excited that it came in. Unfortunately, when it did come in, it came in with it appears a little bit of damage, and I'm going to show you that damage right here. You see those little ears here and here? Well, they were broken off, and the pieces are in the box. They're down here. I took some pictures of it and sent it to him. He said he does not recall that these were broken when he sent it out. Chances are, he said, as long as these coils are in good condition, they're probably okay. But here's kind of the way I feel about it, guys. I spent a lot of hard-earned money on this new part, and that's what I want, is a new part. So, you know, Matt said that he'd probably have to file a claim with UPS, and that I need to hold on to this because they may want to see it. Being Christmas time and whatnot, I know he's off today, but we have been communicating via email. And yeah, you can see some of the broken parts down there. Now, all of this has been unwrapped since I received it, and he did have it wrapped fairly well. The only thing that I noticed upon opening it, and I didn't really put this together, I noticed that this guy was kind of on the edge of the box like this. So it's conceivable that somebody threw this box or banged it up against something and it broke those little pieces off. But at any rate, when I'm spending my hard-earned money on something like this and I'm buying a new part, well, that's exactly what I want to put back in, is a new undamaged part. So, it takes quite a bit to get this thing in and out of there. And I think Matt's just going to go ahead and file a claim with UPS for that part. He feels it would probably work, but I don't want to go ahead and put it in. Like I said, it's kind of a pain in the ass to put it all in just to take it back out if he's going to file a claim and send me another part out. So we'll see what happens with that. So what I'm kind of working on today, I did put my window back in, and I put a little bit of edging around the window. A little bubble there. Maybe a little glue will hold that down. This is just to kind of keep the vibrations down to a minimum, or should I say the chafing down to a minimum, especially where it just kind of hits here. We got some sawdust everywhere, as you can see, because I've been cutting some wood. So I'm thinking about a cowling and some ideas that I had. I used some of these sticks here to kind of lay out a template around the airplane all the way up to the back of the hub. And I thought about weaving a bunch of these together and just, covering them up with, some duct tape, and then maybe making a plug with that to fiberglass. And I noticed the guys over at Be-Lite Aviation did something like that with bamboo, and this is just balsa wood sticks that I had. It gives me an idea of what the shape could look like, but it's not strong enough to weave together. So I set my set my sights out looking for some bamboo, and I went to Hobby Lobby and Home Depot and what's that other hobby store, Michael's, and the closest thing I could find was maybe bamboo rods. They were about 30 inches, but they were much too thick. You know, I wanted something either flat and rigid. They had some round ones that were about 3/16 of an inch, and I was just like, well, that's just more than I needed. So haven't been able to find those. So what I did here last night is I went ahead and I made a template out of 3/4 inch plywood, and this is an exact replica of my firewall. And I measured everything out so that, you know, I had the nice same curves and everything. Used an old scrap piece of aluminum that came off of the firewall. This here is actually the opposite piece back when I cut this piece for the firewall, and it fits that radius. So I used this piece of metal to form this radius here, just like what's on the airplane. Everything here is measured the exact width of the bottom of the plane and then all the way to the top. So this should be a pretty close representation of the exact firewall. And so my plan here, I've actually got a couple of different plans that I'm working with. So the measurement out the end of this stick should be about 25 inches all the way out to the end. And as you'll notice, there's a circle that I've drawn there, and that stick is right in the middle of that circle. And then I've used my framing squares and everything to level this stick, or to plumb it up so that it comes directly straight up. And the way I found that measurement was simply to use, you know, a rod that I stuck through here, and I can demonstrate this probably with just one of these pieces of balsa wood. But if you stick it through, comes all the way, and if you center everything, you can see that that's basically the center right there where that little plus mark is. All right. Well, I use my calipers to measure the distance from the base of the cylinder to here, and then I transferred that to the back of the engine, which is going to put it about right there. And then I just run a level across from here to the back of the cylinder wall. And this is just a demonstration, but you can kind of see where the stick's at. And then I took another measurement from that point down to here. So that gives me the total distance from here to down here, where the center of my spinner, or the center of my prop, is over here. So what that does is just allow me to create an imaginary line from the firewall all the way, or from the spinner back plate all the way to the firewall. And then I can put that over here. And as you see, it comes up just a little bit above it. So what I'm going to do is, I've got some circles over here that I'm cutting out with the jigsaw. And I'm going to stack two of these on top of each other. And then these two will get cut in half, like 3/4 of an inch off of them. And then I will put those cut pieces over here and over here. The other ones, I'm going to measure out so that when I get a total of 25 inches, which is how long I want this to be, I'll cut the top of this stick off. I'll drill a hole down the center of it, and I'll drill a hole down the center of my circles, and I'll put some glue and just mount it wherever 25 inches ends up being. And that'll give me some framework where I can take, you know, some little strips of wood and then just kind of, you know, go around to hold all of this nice and stable. And then from there, I just want to build a skeleton and possibly insert some foam or whatever. But this is going to allow me to actually build a cowling off the airplane. I don't have to put it on the front of the plane. I don't have to build foam up around the plane and do a bunch of sanding and get dust everywhere. Over there, I could actually close the garage and I could do any of that sanding and stuff out here, away from the airplane. And the idea is I should be able to mock up an actual fiberglass cowling on this and shape it. I guess have a lot more control over how I'm going to shape the cowling, because I really would like to do something that looks a little bit nice. You know, maybe some aesthetic looking curves, aerodynamic. Now, my other idea, of course, was kind of to do what the plan said, and this is a mock-up of a cowling that I did out of the Owens Corning foam. And I don't know if you can see it too well. The sun's very bright out here. But I attempted to glue all this together with some of that spray foam, and it's supposed to be safe for foam, but or spray foam glue, but it even ate it away. I don't know if I put too much on there or what. So ultimately what I ended up doing is just using some good old-fashioned wood glue, and I put everything together last night and used bungee cords to hold it together. Now this would probably work, but it's kind of boxy. Even if I get in there and start sanding it and shaping it, it's still a little bit boxy. And I still have to do something with the top as well. But I don't know. It's a work in progress. So I have some more of this foam that I could actually make this a lot thicker if I need to, so that I can smooth things, shape them, contour them. I did cut this out. That's where my battery box is going to be. But remember, all we'd be using this for is a plug, and we put the fiberglass out here on the side. Once we get all this shaped the way we want it, of course we could smooth it down, put some Bondo on it. But I don't like the way it's very boxy. And I've seen a lot of Affordaplanes where they've done something similar to that, and it gets the job done. But I don't want that for mine. I'd rather be able to have full control over it, cut the wood the way I want. And I guess maybe I'm just going to my carpenter roots here. You know, I can work with wood, I can shape wood, and I can use that as a plug. Of course, this would be a lot more stable too once it's complete. And if I had to reproduce another cowling, it would be quite easy to do so. But that's the plan. Like I said, this will be cut off at top. There's going to be a round plate up there, and I should be able to just kind of, like I said, come off of it, shape this thing however I want. As long as I start from here along the edge, and I make sure I've got my clearances so that I clear my motor mounts, my battery box, and all of that. I'm going to build it in one piece all the way around the top. And I will just, once the plug is done and the fiberglass mold is dried up, I should be able to pull the whole thing off and just cut the holes out where I need them, for my cylinder clearances and my prop. Well, the prop will actually be open because we're going to have that wood. But for my my muffler and my carburetors, as you can see, I put a stick here just to kind of reference where it would be at. Of course, we'd need probably a small hole here, you know, an opening for these tubes to go through. So that's what I'm kind of working on now. It's a little bit of a tedious job, and I really prefer to do all that sanding and stuff away from the airplane, because I don't want all that dust inside the garage and on the motor and on the airplane, and it's going to go everywhere. But that is a quick update for you guys. Like I said, I have not been doing a lot of work on this. Been doing a little outside work, make a few bucks to help pay for some of this stuff. But this was not cheap. I would tell you that this thing was about 4 times of what I thought it was going to be. It may work, but considering the amount of money I spent on it, like I said, I want to see if we can't go ahead and get that remedy. All right, guys, that's going to be all for right now. And just wanted to give you a quick update on, what we've been doing. I did manage to get to the wiring and everything from underneath this time, since I had everything reinstalled when I got the new CDIs back. I just figured that was most likely the problem, and I wasn't going to have to pull that motor again, but I did. And I didn't actually pull it all the way off. I just undid these bolts. I undid all of them and loosened that back one. And I just rotated the motor 90 degrees and set it up on this sawhorse over here to hold it while I did all of the work, which basically put the back of the motor right here. And when I put it back on, I'll do the same. These are not tight. They're just holding it on. And I'll take these loose and I'll just rotate the motor 90 degrees when we go to put everything back on. I did have to disconnect the line here to move it, and but everything else pretty much came and just wrapped right around with no problem at all. Let's see. Nope, I didn't even have to pull the fuel lines off. So, okay, guys, that's going to be it for the moment. This is Terry A. there, Houston, Texas. Still building the Affordaplane. Trying to get this thing ready to go flying. I really don't think it's going to be before the end of the year. But, could be. I doubt it, though. So, like I said, I'm not getting in any hurries. I just really want to make sure that I've done everything proper. And I don't want any surprises. So, we may find something else that we need to work on before we think about trailering it up. But that's where we are right now. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.